Welcome to this episode of the Old Radio Shop. Today on the bench, the outdoor portable bench in the woods, is a Zenith C845B high fidelity radio. I have heard these, I've never heard one, I've heard these have a really good sound because they have a tweeter and a woofer in them. And we are going to repair this radio, which has not been touched. It came from a local Goodwill here in the woods area for $5. So I'm going to fix it up, clean it up. There's some veneer repair need to be done on the top, which I think we can do without doing much major repairs to it. There's a little bit of missing there, but we can get it done. It needs to have a little refinish, needs a lot of cleanup work. So we're going to take it apart, start changing out some stuff. There's our parts, there's our soldering iron and our solder, and the woods. Alright, we'll see you in a bit. Had to use my automotive trim tool removal thingy to get my knobs off again, because who knows how long they've been sitting on there, but that's what I use. That, sometimes it has a bigger thing than that, but this is the one I happen to have on me here. Automotive trim removal tool. Works great for removing knobs. Here we go. On this here machine, you need to take off the 6 screws off the back and then the 4 screws off the bottom that are holding the chassis, and then the whole thing will come out as one once you remove the knobs off the front. These right here were feet. Apparently they have been broken off a long time ago, but I actually have some things that work as replacement feet for these. So I'll be hunting those up and putting those on once we get the cabinet redone. So we're about to look inside. So there's the inside of the cabinet with the chassis out. Speaker looks in pretty good condition. I don't see any holes in it. Tweeter we can't tell because it's behind a metal shell, but I bet it's fine. Dead spider parts. We'll be dusting out the cabinet at some point in time. But there's the inside, and down here is the chassis on the floor. Yes, I need to paint the floor. That's coming soon. Not to this channel, but painting the floor is coming soon. A neat chassis. Underneath it has a metal plate that protects you from sticking your fingers in, I guess. Protects the chassis. Here's a big, huge selenium rectifier on the front, which I will be replacing with the diode, but I may be testing the radio with this still in place because it's probably okay. I just don't like to leave them there. There's debate between the two of, you know, it's good, it's not good. When they go, they stink. So we'll look at that. There's the dial pointer in the back of the dial plate. We're going to take this off and take a look underneath. So here's a look underneath. We have a mixture of wax paper caps, ceramic caps, more wax paper caps. Here, bumblebee caps, which will be definitely going away since they probably have split and opened. I will probably leave the ceramics in place because I have not had any trouble in a radio that I have left ceramics in place, because they don't tend to draw the moisture unless they happen to have been cracked from the factory when they were put in, or from manufacturing process. So looks like somebody may have replaced part of the filter capacitor, because here's a big 47 microfarad, although it's hooked to the volume control. I'll have to look and see. And the big main filter capacitor was out here. It looks like it's 4, according to the schematic, 4 different ones. I'll have to figure that out, figure out where they go, cut them out. But for now, we're going to get started on some wax paper caps, getting rid of those, and work on other things. I like how this chassis was indented for the speaker, and an ingenious place to put the selenium rectifier up there on top on the outside of the chassis, and it serves as its own heat sink that way. But it will be going bye-bye. Looks like somebody replaced the dial string at some point in time with some twine. Yeah. Oh, that's it. And it appears to work, so I may just leave it alone. Everything looks pretty good, except for, you know, all those are bad. All those wax papers and those bumblebees. Should take it out and save it for guitar people. Alright, onward, here we go. Earlier I had said that I thought this was a 47 microfarad filter cap, and I got to looking at it, it's a 0.47. It's like, that ain't gonna say outside foil on it. If it's a electrolytic, it's gonna have a positive or negative, and that's a 0.33 over there. So I've got 3 more to go. I do have a replacement 0.47, but I don't think I have a 0.3 to do. So got that 0.022, and I did the other ones over here. There's only 2, 3, 4 over here. Everything else I'm gonna leave in place. I still have the filter caps to go. I'm gonna have to dig under there once I replace this one and see which one's what. Supposedly this is a 4, it's a 40, a 40, a 40, and an 80. So I'll have to see where the 80 goes and just replace the others with the 40s. Okay, here's another look at the underside of the chassis. Gotta turn around the other way. Up in here is my electrolytic capacitor I'm gonna have to change. And each one of these, in case you don't know, I'm sure people that are watching this, some do, some don't. Each one of these legs is marked by either a triangle, a square, a half moon, or nothing. So there's a half moon here. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. It's kind of hard to focus. There's a square and there's a triangle, and that one has nothing. And then marked on the capacitor on the outside is markings as to what the microfarads and the voltage are for each particular section of the capacitor. We'll go look at that. So if we look at the top here, the electrolytic capacitor, the top of the chassis, notice it's microfarads, voltage, blah blah blah. So the half moon is 80 microfarads at 150, 40 at 150 for the square, 40 at 150 for the one marked triangle, and 40 at 25 for the one marked with nothing. And then the common negative is going to be the can. So the can will be the negative for each one. So we're going to remove and change out. just created a terminal strip with 3 of the capacitors on it, 3 of the 40 microfarad capacitors on it, and then I'm going to hook to the various places. This is where one of them hooks. One of them's going to hook here, one of them hooks here. The 80 is going to hook down here, but I haven't unhooked it yet. But also, I found another wax capacitor I did not replace down there behind this. Hadn't noticed it. And there it is. So we're going to get that changed out while we got this all opened up. And we'll get on with more stuff in just a bit. Alright, here's everything tucked back inside. Filter capacitors here, and then I had to make an 80 out of 2 parallel 47s, which is a little bit more than 80, but it's like 94. But it will be okay. And so I'm just had to let those hang, but they are stiff and rigid on that resistor back there, so they're not going to go anywhere. And then I've hooked their grounds over here to the chassis, because I didn't trust that this mechanical ground where they're hooked to on the chassis would suffice, so I added a little extra insurance there. I've tucked everything back in, so the only thing I got left to do is to replace that there with a diode, and I will have to dig out my diodes and we can do that. So chassis all redone. I have to make sure I didn't get anything where anything's in there touching and shorting, because I've had that happen before. Check all my wiring. I gotta put that back on, which is part of the phono input. There was another wax capacitor up there. Then I had to pull that off in order to drill this new screw right there. And I'll put that back together, and we'll be ready to replace this nasty, well, it's not really nasty, it's a selenium rectifier, but if they do short, they let out some nasty stinky smoke. See you in a bit. So today I'm going to try to complete this change out of this set by changing out this selenium rectifier here with a 1N 4007 silicone diode and a series resistor of about 100 ohms. So we're going to go for the 100 ohm route. Okay, we get started. Okay, so I replaced this selenium rectifier with a diode and a resistor. And that doesn't really go over there. That's just that doesn't really go over to that one. It's just the insulation had come off when I was trying to remove it from the selenium rectifier. And so there we have a 1N4007 general purpose diode we're going to use in place of that. These make good Christmas tree ornaments. You just put a little hanger on them. They're already green, some of them are red. Next we're going to test the sucker out. I gotta hook the antenna back up to it and go from there.
You're listening to the Harrison Experience on CBS Sports Radio.
So that's the AM side. Didn't fire up when I first fired it up because I had put my diode in backwards.
Simultaneously impossible.
Or successful like New Jersey and New York. And effort. The work done plus graphic calculator is only $88 and saves $60 on the color edition. Now just
Come surefire music again. That's the Wilburn brothers and Don Helms and the whole gang of them. 4 or 5 of them. Here's Teddy North. Come in, Jim.
There's WSM Nashville.
They drive old cars and so forth. All over and let us pray for them. Amen. May Dylan's tribe increase, and we're praying for his pastor, Ricky.
Now, when I say time travelers, I mean real dial twisting, lever
Art
pulling,
Bell from the past.
Orson Welles type time travelers. Not people who have gone in your mind, people who have gone in machines only, or people who possess or who are presently building.
Yes, heard more? Yes. This afternoon.
16. That's a really sound way of thinking, too, I believe.
I like it. All right. Yan Blue with us here on Point Spread Weekly. Getting in one more here. Benil DeRouche taking on Scott Holtzman, about $1.65 favorite lightweight bout in this next.
So that's the chassis portion. Sounds good. I need to clean the controls a little bit. The band switch I'll need to clean. Time to do cabinet and get her all put back together. So to answer my question when this was made, March 13th, 61 is the date inside the cabinet. So there you go. That answers all questions. I thought it was 1961. I may have said 1960 earlier in the video, but it is 1961. As I was putting it back together, I happened to notice that. So 1961.